Fire Call, the Fire Safety Show, Division Chief Jim Sedaris.
Hi, my name is Division Chief Jim Sedaris, and you are watching Fire Call, right from one of the oldest fire stations in the country, Central Fire Station, built in 1912. Hey, we're going to take you behind the scenes. We're going to really see some cool stuff, learn about some fire safety tips for your home, talk about some fire hoses with Captain Powers, talk about masks, and of course, shout-outs. These shout-outs are coming from all over. This shout-out's from Rob. Rob lives in New York, and he wants a shout-out to the city of Tonawanda Fire Department Explorer Post 15. Could have told me how to say that, Rob. That would have helped. And Jake wants a shout-out to the Sioux, British Columbia Volunteer Fire Department in Sioux, British Columbia. Hey, it's in Canada, okay? Now, if we answer your questions, and the whole show is questions, my friends, you get a sassy Sioux Falls Fire Rescue t-shirt. So sit back, get the kids. We need some good role models, and firefighters are nothing but good role models for those kids. Turn off all that BlackBerry stuff. Sit back and watch Fire Call. Have a lot of questions on self-contained breathing apparatus, or in the fire service, it's called SCBA. Now, who's going to answer those questions? Travis Willard.
Hi, Jim. How you doing?
Hey, I'm glad to see you.
Good. Glad to see you, too.
Are you ready for these?
I think so. We'll do our best.
Okay. This is from Daryl. Daryl lives in Madison, Wisconsin. And he wants to know, why are some of the reasons people would use an air pack or SCBA?
Well, there's a lot of different reasons. Probably one of the major reasons is obviously fires. That's our business. Anytime we go into a structure that is what we call an IDLH atmosphere.
Which stands for? Immediate
dangerous to life and health.
Okay.
Obviously, there's smoke that we don't want to get in our bodies, so we obviously use the SCBA and our mask to protect us from that. Another big one is a hazardous incident, maybe that we have something that's off-gassing, say.
So we have a toxic fume that we're working around.
Yep,
okay.
Exactly. And we don't know what that is. It's an unknown, so we want to protect ourselves from that.
Okay. So that's a pretty good answer.
Thanks.
I'm impressed so far.
You're welcome. We'll see what's next.
Yeah, this is from Terry. Terry lives in Crandall, Georgia, and he wants to know how they work. How does SCBA system work, and who can we use as a demonstrator?
Tell you what, I've got my part, Nate Strasser, over here.
But you were calling him earlier.
His nickname is Barry.
And why is that?
We call him Barry because he's got a very deep voice. So, Nate, come on out. We'll show him what this SCBA is all about.
Glad you could make it, buddy. And look, there's your name right on your helmet, too, so everybody will see you. Okay.
First thing I'm going to start with here is obviously just as he's got his turnout coat on, he's got his mask already on, he's got his helmet so he can protect his noggin. First thing you're going to notice here is what's called a PASS device. It's basically a personal account safety system is what I like to call it. And that's activated when he turns on his bottle. So why don't you go ahead and turn your bottle on.
Okay, now that's going to do what? His PASS?
That is, once he turns his bottle on, Jim, that's going to activate his PASS alarm.
And so if he falls down, is immobile, that's going to alert and make a loud noise.
Yes, this is going to chirp and all the bells and whistles are going to go off. If he does not move for a 30-second period, this goes off and it allows his crew and his others that are working with him, something's going on and we need to find out what it is. To give you an idea how an SCBA works, I'll have Nate turn around here. The premise of an SCBA is based on the pack and the bottle. We store all our compressed air in here. It goes down through a regulator system. We have a.
How long does this tank going to last a person? Roughly working in a normal situation, not under extreme workload. Normal fire.
Normal fire, normal situation. It's going to depend a little bit on the individual and their level of fitness and all that good stuff. But generally, it's going to last anywhere from about 20 to 30 minutes.
Okay.
Once he turns on his bottle, the air obviously goes through to the first stage regulator where it's condensed down to a rate that we can start to breathe it a little better. Moves up to the front, if you can turn around, Nate. Comes down to his second stage regulator, which moves up to his mask. And he's going to demonstrate this for us here. You'll see how he pops that on. Nate is no longer breathing outside air, ladies and gentlemen. He's breathing from his tank back here. And that's the premise of how an SCBA works.
Smoke-filled room, he's still breathing clean air.
Yes.
Now, one question I know they're going to ask is, what in the world is this?
This here, this is his magnetic cleaning system for his mask.
So what's that used for?
It's used in case his mask starts to fog up from sweating, things like that. He can use that and basically give himself better visibility.
Great. Anything, now, safety devices. We have a safety device for his PASS.
Correct.
What other safety device might he have on this?
Other safety device back here is he does have a bell alarm system back here. It's basically a low warning alarm system. When his air in his bottle gets down to a certain point, this low alarm level is going to, the bell is basically going to go off, indicating to him that he's running low on air.
So if you're with the crew, you start hearing bells go off. It's like, hey, we got to get our guys out of here.
Yep, correct. Just like that.
And that will continuously go off then until it actually runs out of air.
Correct.
Got 3 questions all about filling tanks. And this first one from Kenneth. Kenneth lives in Custer, South Dakota, and he wants a shout out to the Custer Volunteer Fire Department in Custer, South Dakota. Great bunch of guys, worked with them.
They're
Wildland firefighters. Also from Michael. Michael lives in Florin, Louisiana. And he wants a shout out to the South Toledo Bend Volunteer Fire Department. And Jamie. Jamie lives in Sioux Falls, and they all want to know about filling tanks. When do we fill them? How do we fill them? Now this tank is a spun tank. The days when I started, they were just solid steel.
Yep.
Heavy.
We've come a long way since solid steel and aluminum. We're into
Watch
carbon.
it. Just watch it. I know where you're going with this. Just answer the question. Don't do any running commentary about how long ago that was.
Carbon fiber is the new way to go, Jim.
Lightweight.
Lightweight. They got a 15-year life expectancy on them. They're hydroed every 5 years. As long as they pass hydro, we keep them in service for 15 years.
What's hydro mean?
Hydro testing. Basically, we take all the air out of the bottle. We send it in for testing to make sure there's no structural defects with it. They go over the normal operating pressure. If it passes that, we get it back and we put it back in service.
Okay, now how do you fill these things?
Well,
and
I tell you.
When do we best fill them? We come back from a fire, what's the plan?
We got a couple different options.
Okay.
We can fill here at the station using our Eagle Air stationary unit. That is one option that we can use for filling these bottles. We can do 2 at a time. We also have our mobile unit, our ALV9, that we can fill with as well.
We have these tanks in some of the stations.
Yes, we have 3 of these here in Sioux Falls.
Okay, go through the process. Now, talk about the blast chamber briefly.
Okay. Basically, the way this is designed is it's safety first. This side here...
Because we're all about safety.
We are. Safety first. We have to protect ourselves first. The way this is designed is we have a cascade air compressor system over here. Has a couple of basically cascade bottles in it.
So
goes
it has
from one stage.
And you just move to the other, kind of like a cascading system of
Pressure
water,
goes up
air.
through each stage so that we can get the right amount of air at the right pressures. From there, the air is stored in these tanks, which is basically nothing but a storage facility. And this is the blast cage chamber that we use to fill the bottles. We put our bottles in there. Basically, we just go ahead and hook these up.
No pressure on here, Travis.
No.
Live TV, we haven't even practiced this. You want me to hold your microphone?
You know, if you would, Jim, that'd be great.
Whatever you need to make your job easier. Is this going to bother you?
Not at all.
Okay.
All right, so once we have all our valves open, we're going to go ahead and close this blast cage door. The pressure automatically brings it up. This is our fill gauge right here. Basically, with this type of bottle, we're going to fill it up to 3,000 pounds.
You can hold this now.
Okay. And once that's filled, then we'll put it back into service.
Now, I know people are going to ask this, because what's inside of that? Because people have the misconception that we're filling these up with oxygen.
Correct.
What are you filling those things up with?
Compressed air.
So we're breathing essentially air just like we are right now.
Yep.
Nothing special.
No.
Nice and clean, pure air.
Pure air.
But not oxygen.
Yep, exactly.
Or not pure oxygen. There's oxygen obviously in that air.
Yep. But it's just like the air outside. It's just that it's compressed into a bottle.
How long does it take to fill a tank?
On average, it takes anywhere from 4 to 5 minutes if the tank is completely empty. Reason for that, you don't want to fill it too fast or you could do damage to the bottle.
Because what? It gets hot.
It gets hot as you fill, and if it gets too hot, obviously you ruin the structural integrity.
Okay. Great.
Okay, we obviously got it filled. Can lower it down, put it back on a pack, put it back on a truck, whatever we need to do with it, and we're ready to go.
Great. Travis, I think you answered all those questions.
Excellent. Thanks, Jim.
You bet. Our truck of the month, and this month we're going to tie it all together with Air Light Vent Truck, our ALV, and this is Nate Strasser. How you doing?
Doing good.
Okay, you're assigned to this truck. Tell us, why is this truck so important?
If we're on a fire scene and we run out of air in our air bottles, then this is the truck we bring to fill our air bottles up.
So any major fire, we're going to bring this truck.
That's right.
Now it's Air Light Vent.
We also have a very large light up on top there. It folds up to illuminate a pretty good portion of our scene.
Mm-hmm. Creates a nice, safe environment that way. See what's going on. Turns night into day.
Yep.
Okay, so you're going to take us around the truck?
You bet.
Okay, so vent, We're talking about the big fans.
If we get into a really big scene, a really big building, these are some larger fans that we carry to help ventilate the larger buildings.
And we talk about ventilate. What are we doing here, Nate?
We want to set up positive pressure ventilation, so we set this in a doorway or a window, and we blow the air into the building, and we want to have a place for it to get out, so we got to cut a vent hole in the roof or open up another window or door in the back. That's how we vent out the smoke and the bad
And there's
stuff.
a big science to this. This is not just putting a fan in front of the door. We do positive pressure ventilation.
Yep.
Tell us, what's positive pressure ventilation?
You blow air into an area.
Structure.
Into a structure, and eventually all that air has to get out somewhere. So that takes all the smoke and the bad stuff with it out your opening in the back.
And we make sure our windows are closed a little bit so we can really make that positive pressure happen and move that stuff through. Okay, we're gonna work our way around.
Yep.
Now we also have to think about mass casualty events. If we have a school bus rollover, major event, disaster, this truck's also gonna respond on those events.
That's right.
What do you got in here, Nate, for us?
We have a big amount of backboards here in case we need them. We also have some Army cots tucked up under here to help carry patients. Back over here we have about 10 trauma bags and to help us provide first aid for whoever needs it.
So we can essentially get to a major scene, dump all this equipment off and start treating a lot of patients very quickly with this truck.
That's right.
That's what we're talking about. Okay, Nate, moving through.
Over here we have our blast chamber for filling up SCBA bottles.
And this is where it all happens.
That's right. This is the air compressor. If you can see in the background here, this is the air compressor itself. Back here is the air bottles that it fills up for storage. And they route it through here and over to the blast chamber.
So we're storing it here, and then we're filling the individual tanks at a fire. So if we have a large fire going on, people are always going to ask, how do we fill these tanks up? Firefighter will come up, they'll dump their tanks.
Yep.
They'll get a fresh one from the bin.
That's right.
And then one of the firefighters assigned to this station will be ongoing filling them up.
Yep.
Now we want to make sure this air is clean coming in here. We got diesel trucks running. We have all that kind of stuff going on. How do we make sure that the air is clean?
First of all, the first measure we take is we put this on the exhaust, just a little extension for the exhaust to get it up and out of the way. When we park on scene, we park out of the wind so that the wind is blowing it to the back of the truck. We want the nose faced into the truck because that's where the spout is that we suck air into. It comes down through these filters and then into the pump itself.
Okay. So we can, another question is going to be, I know this is, how long can we keep this truck running? Is it basically an unlimited supply of air that we can keep doing as long as we have the truck fueled up?
As long as we have fuel in the truck and we can have the manpower, we can keep on going.
Perfect, Nate. You answered a lot of questions for us, and I'm glad you did. One of the tools of the trade for firefighters is using hoses to put out fires. And I have quite a few questions on that, but I have Captain Jim Powers.
Hi, Jim.
Now, you've been on before
I have been
at
on.
one of our pretty good fires. We might have some video of that. Got some questions on hoses.
Okay.
Well, one of the questions, the first one is from Daniel. Daniel lives in White Oak, Pennsylvania. And he wants to know, when you're arriving on the fire scene, how do you determine which hose to use, because we carry several sizes of hose?
That's right. And it would depend on the size of the fire.
Okay.
And if it's a typical residential structure, we would pull a supply line, which is our 5-inch large diameter hose. And we'd hook that to our hydrant to supply the water to the apparatus, the truck.
Pull it down the street?
Pull it down the street, hook it up, and we're ready to go. Then on the structure itself, normally we pull an 1 3/4 attack line, and that's what we normally use. If we're fighting a larger structure fire, we may use a 2.5-inch attack line.
So it's going to depend on what you got, and it's your call, and that's why we have very experienced captains to make those judgment calls right on the spot.
That's what they pay us for.
Yeah. Okay, now we're getting into the meat of this whole fire hose issue. And this one's from Ariel. Ariel lives in Great Neck, New York. What are fire hoses made out of?
Okay, well, we just happen to have a portion of a fire hose here. This would be an 1 3/4 attack line. And this one was cut open for demonstration purposes. The outer jacket, I don't know if you can see it, there's 2 layers here. The outer jacket is made of a synthetic fiber. This one is nylon. And the inner jacket is a rubber lined hose.
You guys are going on a call.
All right, I guess I have to go.
Well, yeah, you better go do your job. Thanks, Jim.
Oh, you're welcome.
Just Jim came back, so we got to finish up the questions.
All
You gonna
right.
stay with us for a while now?
I hope so.
Okay. Got 3 questions here. Well, before we ask those, we're going to talk about this. Things have really changed with fire hose.
Yes, they have.
And now tell us about, now these are the couplings. Now these are couplings from a while ago. This is
Back when you started.
back when I started. Thank you very much. You didn't have to bring that up. First it's Travis dinging me, and now it's you. Now these are solid brass, and they weigh about,
About 4 pounds with that one.
and what do we have now? The new stuff.
This is the new
The alloys.
metal alloy, and they weigh about a pound, pound and a half. A lot
So-
lighter.
So we're dumping just pounds on just hauling couplings and the cost
Extra weight,
too.
extra cost, brass cost more.
Although this was no problem for the firefighters of that generation to pull these heavy hoses but okay, another story here. Okay, 3 questions, Jim, all the same. Shay from Marlboro, New Jersey. Teresa from Warmeister, Pennsylvania. And Ryan from Slaytonton, Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania show, East Coast show. What sizes of hoses do we carry in Sioux Falls Fire Rescue?
Okay, we alluded to it earlier. We have 3 sizes on our trucks. We have an 1 3/4 attack line, we call it. That's
Similar to
this
this?
size.
Yep.
We also have a 2.5 inch size that we can use for either supply lines or for attack lines on larger fires.
So big fire, big hose.
Big fire, big hose. And then we also have our supply line, which is a 5 inch rubber hose that we use for connecting to the hydrants.
And once that's laid, it's not moving. Once it's
No.
filled with water, it's very heavy. Water weighs about 8 pounds per gallon.
Yes,
So we're talking a lot of weight on those hoses.
it is.
Okay, Jim, well, I'm glad you're back. Glad we finished. Do you have anything you want to add?
I don't.
Any shout outs to anybody?
Shout out to the Avon, South Dakota Volunteer Fire Department.
There you go. Thanks, Jim. Got a lot of questions about how do we interact with other agencies. Most importantly, how do we interact with the police department? So I have John Toom, police officer, Sioux Falls Police Department. I almost said Sioux Falls Fire Rescue. I know, wishful thinking.
Wishful thinking, yeah.
So we have 2 questions. The first one's from Harrison. Harrison lives in Warwick, New York, and Carousel, who lives in Brooklyn, New York. And they want to know, do we respond to, in conjunction with the police department, and how does that work out? What kind of calls would we be going on?
Well, just off the top of my head, I see Sioux Falls Fire Rescue on a daily basis on the calls we go to, from accidents to medical calls, even people who might need further aid, people where we need to move evacuations or different situations like that. But probably the most common are accidents and medical calls that I see Sioux Falls Fire Rescue.
We also, I just was thinking about this when you were talking about, we also have suicidal patients.
Oh, absolutely.
We always want PD there.
Yep.
And actually, we actually stage and let you move in first. Guys with guns and gals
Yeah.
with guns. It's always a comforting thing. Now, when we're working with police and fire, what are some of the things that people just, they see us all respond together, but let's say at a suicidal subject or a medical call, why do we need PD there?
Well,
or a police department there?
Oftentimes, the subjects we're dealing with are intoxicated, maybe in a different mental state, and it's our responsibility to ensure that Sioux Falls Fire Rescue and ambulance are safe in responding to those calls. And conversely, we need fire and ambulance close to help us because we are basic care providers. There's not much medically we can do, not like fire rescue can do, provide that advanced medical care. So I know from a police department perspective, our favorite thing to see in a medical call is a fire truck roll up, because we know they'll take care of business when it comes to a medical call, and we can worry about the other stuff.
And our favorite thing is to see the cops there, because if something goes wrong, it's always nice to have the guys in blue right there. Now, you do carry public access defibrillators on all your cars.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
And you do have that training.
We do.
And we've had some saves. Can you talk about that at all?
Absolutely. We've recently been equipped within the past 2 years with each car has an AED in the car. And on more than one occasion, we've been able to bring that AED in and have a positive result and save some lives. But that being said, it's still good to have fire rescue there.
Sure.
Because
it's that transition of care.
That transition of care. But we're able to oftentimes administer that care that we used to have to wait for fire rescue to administer.
Now, I'm just curious, curiosity question, because people are going to probably, it's not a cop show, okay? So don't think of the cop show. But how many police officers are on the streets in your cars, like during, let's just say like right now?
Any given moment, like right about now, there's 24 patrol officers roughly.
Really?
Some supervisors for those patrol officers, and maybe 4 or 5 traffic units.
So when we think of, now here's where I was going with this, John. When we think about those defibs in your cars, and you probably have a pretty good response time. I don't know what your average response time is, but you're there first, get a quick shock, we get there, we can get oxygen on, get another defib on, a little more care, airway management, then paramedics get there. It's a nice, like I said, continuum of care.
Absolutely.
And this is a big partnership.
Yep. Putting those AEDs in the car at the end of the day makes our response as public safety better for the citizens of Sioux Falls. So.
Great. Well, John, thanks.
Thanks for having me on, Jim. Appreciate it.
I have a lot of questions on home safety, and to do that, we're down at the Fire Prevention Bureau, high atop City Hall, 3rd floor, gorgeous new offices. Well, they're nice.
They're nice.
And I have Barry Mogg with me, and Barry's one of our fire inspectors. I got a lot of questions for you, Barry.
All right.
Good questions, too. People want to know this stuff. First one's going to be, this is from Gina. Gina lives in Sioux Falls, and also Robert. Robert lives in Sioux Falls. And they both want to know, what can you do to make your home safe from fires? And I want you to talk about also EDITH, exit drills in the home.
Certainly. The first thing we want to do is make sure that we all have a home escape plan. Make sure we know 2 ways out of our bedroom, 2 ways out of our house once we get out of the bedroom. And once we get outside, we need to have a meeting place where everyone in our family is going to go to. After that, we need to have smoke alarms in every bedroom and outside the bedrooms in the hallway.
Now, do you have the smoke alarms down here as well as fire headquarters at 37th and Minnesota or not?
Yes, we do.
So if someone wants to come down to City Hall, 3rd floor of City Hall, and we can give you a free one.
They can come up to our office and we can get you some free smoke alarms if you need them.
Okay.
After we have our smoke alarms, make sure they're installed, test them monthly to make sure they're working, replace the batteries once a year when we change our clocks in the fall. And the other thing is, if you see or smell smoke in your house, first thing you need to do is get out, get to safety, and then call 911 so we can come and find out what it is.
Perfect. Okay, well, that's pretty quick. That's pretty efficient. So EDITH, exit drills in the home. We're going to practice those. This is a question from Ashley. Ashley lives in Sioux Falls, and Ashley wants to know, first-time homeowner, how often should I have my electrical system inspected in my home, and what types of electrical upgrades should be #1 on the list?
Well, first of all, inspection on your electrical system. The only time you would need an inspection is if you had some work done, and they're going to inspect it while they're doing the work to make sure that everything's working properly. Or if you experience any problems, then you'd want to call an electrician, have them come check out the system to see why you're having that problem.
Now, what kind of problems could someone expect to have if they're having electrical problems?
If you're having lights that dim when you run an appliance and other lights in the house dim, or if you have circuit breakers that are tripping, fuses that are blown. As far as upgrades, if you're not experiencing any problems, there's no reason to any upgrades that would be required. If you have an older home with a fuse panel or a fuse box still, and you're starting to see some blowing some fuses, one of the upgrades might be replacing that fuse box with a circuit breaker panel.
And a circuit breaker, essentially you just pop the switch as opposed to buying the fuses to screw in. Okay, this is from David. David lives in Petersburg, Ontario, Canada. And he wants to know, talking about heating and air conditioning systems, what's the negative role that a heating and air conditioning system can play during a fire?
Well, one of the negatives could be it can spread the smoke from one area of the house to the other.
Because it's drawing it into the system and moving it through the house
just
like it would.
But on the flip side, that could also be a positive. If there's a small fire in the basement, it could spread that smoke up to the bedrooms where them smoke alarms are going to go off and notify you right away. So it could spread the smoke, but that also could be a good thing.
Now in a commercial building, a lot of times we'll have pressurized stairwells.
Yes.
And that would be part of that HVAC system again.
And in a commercial building, if there is a fire alarm system, those HVAC systems will have smoke detectors in the ductwork and shut that unit down if there's any smoke detected to stop the spread of that smoke.
Perfect. Okay, we're on a roll. This one's from David. David, a lot of Sioux Falls questions. David's from Sioux Falls, and he wants to know, how do firefighters work in conjunction with automatic sprinkler systems? Now, we have sprinkler systems just like we have down here in the gorgeous Fire Prevention Bureau, which is always up to standards.
Yes, it is.
And we can have them in the home. So can
Yes,
you talk
we can.
about both?
Yes. In a commercial business, the way we're going to work with that sprinkler system, if we respond to a fire there, we will hook the fire truck up to the fire hydrant, then we'll hook a hose up to, it's called the fire department connection on the outside of the building, and we can supplement additional water to that system if it's needed because of the fire conditions.
So if more heads are popping,
Yep.
and it needs more water, we can keep that all.
Yep, we can pressurize that so the water pressure is optimized in the system. In the home, the sprinkler system is going to be connected to your domestic water that comes in, and there will be no external connection for the fire department to hook up to.
It's a much smaller structure.
Yes,
so we don't
smaller
really have
structure,
that
and almost
big
all
concern.
home fires are controlled by one sprinkler head. So the scale of the fires aren't the size where you need that connection in the home.
And that's something to consider if you're going to build a new house, is put in
An automatic sprinkler system in new construction is an excellent idea. It's very economical compared to the cost of the entire structure, maybe 1% of the cost of a new building.
And I tell you, once you get one small fire in a house without a residential sprinkler system, it can take out your whole house. So
Yes,
think about
it
doing
does.
that. Okay, now the question, the Jim Sedaris pressure question.
All right.
Not for you, for me, because I have to pronounce this. This is from Marouche. Marouche is writing us from Calgary, Alberta, Canada. He has a shout out. And the shout out is for the Aldray Fire and EMS Rescue just north of Calgary, Alberta. And I think I got it right. If not, just email me back and I'll correct it. Maybe. And here's a question, Barry. Is there a difference between carbon monoxide given off from a furnace and carbon monoxide given out from a car exhaust?
No, the carbon monoxide is the same. It's the carbon monoxide gas is carbon monoxide gas, no matter where it comes from. Few pointers on that is make sure we have our furnace inspected in the fall before the heating season comes. Service the filters, have the technician check to make sure it's burning clean and everything's properly. And the other thing is with your car, make sure you open the garage door, back your car out if you're going to let it warm up in the morning, and then shut the garage door to keep any exhaust, the wind from blowing any exhaust back into the garage.
Perfect. Barry, thank you for your time. It's been a treat. Thanks,
Jim.
So that's the show, and we hope you liked it. It's kind of fun, and you know, a lot of people ask a lot of questions, and that's what makes this show so cool, because instead of us coming up with stuff, we're answering the things you want to know about. Now we got two more shout outs. This shout out is from Guy. Guy lives in Newark, Ohio, and wants a shout out to the Newark, Ohio Fire Department, Fire Station 3. And David. David lives in Lubbock, Maine, and he wants a shout out to the Lubbock Volunteer Fire Department in Maine. Now, of course, we answer a lot of questions, and we get a lot of questions from all over, and that's what's kind of cool. Of course, you get a Sassy Sioux Falls Fire Rescue t-shirt until supplies are gone. Hey, I hope you like this show. My name is Division Chief Jim Sedaris, and you've been watching Fire Call.